My name is Darren, and this is my writing assessment for the week of Children's Bliss. So I kind of went out on a different route for this one. I actually found an article from the Australian Institute of Family Studies. I thought this one was interesting because one, it's a different country, so we kind of get to see a different kind of view on this and how other countries do it. Because even though we're out in the U.S., it's always good to look at other places to see if there are things that they are doing that we can implement on ourselves. The article I found was called Give Children a Bigger Voice More of the Time, Children and Younger People's Experiences of Family Law System. I really like this one because the whole aspect is to give the children some more voice, more say, and kind of focuses on a specific aspect where in children's lives where they don't have any voice at all, especially here. I thought it was also super interesting because I technically work in a kind of law aspect. I work in foster care. I work in a group home for kids with disabilities, so I kind of get that law system aspect. Through my job, having to connect with either my supervisor, who technically is the guardian to my kids, or to kids who do have families, but they just aren't living with them. So I kind of get that different aspect, and so I thought this one was really cool, what the focus it was, and the whole thing, the main focus of this article was the implications for child inclusiveness, so including the child in different aspects. It really focuses on the part of the law system of post-separation, so if kids are taken away from the families, how are we trying to give children more of a inclusiveness within decision processing, or just making sure that they are getting taken care of and getting the knowledge and information that they feel like they need. So it kind of gets broken down. There's 3 professionals who speak. The first one really talks about post-separation and how to include children with that, or the impact that it has on children. Something I found was really interesting was for any contact at all between the parent and the child, there are 8 different services that people have to go through. 8 people that they have to get through to have any contact at all. So I thought that was really interesting, which can also make it really hard on a child, having to go through so many hoops, and not having that direct contact, which can be a huge change for a child. This was more of a research kind of aspect situation. So the first aspect, key theme that they found throughout the research, talking to kids who've gone through the post-separation, who are currently in post-separation, I thought this was really important because there were things that the children wanted. A big one was listening and support. So they wanted to be listened to about their experiences, what they're kind of wanting from the situation, especially from the parents, since the reason that they were separated is something that the parents had done. So really wanting the parents to hear the impact that it has on them and the situations that they're going through. Also wanting open communication. I find that super important, and I feel like it's super important with children's studies, is really being open about what's going on, because not knowing what's going on and trying to process the situation can be very, very, damaging, unhelpful. So they're really wanting open communication with the process of everything that's going on, so truly understanding the steps that it takes. So as soon as they're getting in the house, what's the next legal step? And just guiding them through the steps and allowing them to really be listened to and understand. Making sure that you're actually understanding, so not just telling them what's going on and then being oh, okay, now you understand. But really going into detail, and so till it clicks in their head that this is what's going to happen and what this step means for them. Also, with open communication, they're really wanting to be involved in the long term, or at least understanding what could be the long term decisions, whether they're kept separate from their families, or whether they can return, or if they're separate, are they going to allowed to have contact with their family, or if they're not. So really understanding what is a possibility. Because like sometimes in law system, I know especially for my kids, they're not knowing what the next step is. Especially when they first went through the process, they weren't sure if they're going to be returned back to their parents, or like if they're allowed to talk to their parents. With this group home situation, so like the parents did lose all their rights, and stuff like that. Also, really wanting, another thing that came out was support. So really being able to feel like they have the access to have the support through the system. So whether that means talking to a third party, not anyone who's actually involved in the legal process, and not the parent. So being able to talk to them so they can understand. I know I personally, as a child, really liked having that third party. Even now as an adult, I really prefer the third party because they have no biasness to what's going on, so they can really understand what the child's wanting, or how the child's feeling without kind of like throwing in their own opinions to the situation of what's going on. And a majority of the kids see some sort of mental health services, whether it's a psychologist, psychiatric, anything like that. Which I found super important for like a child life specialist. Just being like there as a third party, kind of allowing them to process how they process, whether it's like play, or just talking, or just sitting there in silence. Different ways. They also really want to feel secure and safe, whether that's secure and safe to where they're going to be living after this decision's made, or secure through the process. Because I know they can kind of bounce around or not know what's going on, so they can feel very unsafe by not knowing what's happening. Also, kids, I thought this was really interesting because within the article it talked about the process of post-separation. The children really wanting to have a say, allowing to have the input of their views and opinions on what should happen. I think that's something that we lack here in the U.S. with that, is that we always just look at the opinion of the proof of what's going on, or the lack of proof of what's going on, or the parent's opinion. We don't really bring in a whole lot of the child and how they view the situation, or what they're wanting to happen to themselves, whether they want to go back to their parents, or whether they actually do want to be separated and taken away if they are in a really bad situation. And also just having a say on what is and isn't their own best interest of their life. Again, that's something I view here in the U.S. that we lack, but Australia seems to really try to implement that into their law system. Yeah, I just found this article super interesting. I really liked how it was a different country that I got to read upon, so I could see and compare kind of what's going on from my work in the law system, or what I've heard about the law system, versus what's going on in other countries. So, thank you.